Who is the most hated gaming company? Is it somebody like Activision Blizzard for constantly over-monetizing their games and filling them with very useless microtransactions? Is it somebody like Ubisoft for making big games that have particularly boring maps? Or is it Electronic Arts because they've managed to scoop up so many different studios and then either kill them or make bad games with their properties? Stuff like Dead Space and SimCity went to EA and then eventually died. Well, today, the reason this story is so interesting is because it sounds like an outside company is attempting to buy EA to sort of forcibly break their way into the gaming industry, and all of this sounds very, very toxic. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So what we're discussing today is these rumors of Amazon attempting to purchase EA for roughly $40 billion. Now, this rumor is incredibly strange because they talked about this website called Good Luck Have Fun, which is a Swedish website, talked about it this morning at 6 a.m. And then almost immediately, about an hour and a half later, they said a retraction. They basically said a big apology and said, actually, never mind. Now, the weirdness of this statement is that it sort of backs up other rumors that people have been attempting to purchase Electronic Arts now for the last couple months. It sounds like these discussions began in May, and it sounds like Apple, Amazon, and Disney were all coming up as people that were sort of in these business meetings. It sounds like these companies were sort of approaching them and saying, okay, if we buy you out for this $40 billion price tag, how much of the gaming industry are we actually going to get? Well, what's fascinating is that even though these discussions have definitely been happening, according to Bloomberg, this is not actually happening. They're not really doing it right now. It may still be happening. So this is the journalist who originally tweeted about it. He actually wrote the original article, and he said like this. So this is a little bit of a backpedal, but I want to just clarify this before we start to look at the outside sources that I've heard stuff from. What's kind of happening is this. It sounds like the guy talked to some people that he knows, and you know what? He's saying, okay, maybe it doesn't happen today, but it does seem like Amazon is attempting to buy EA. Now, in my opinion, this is bad for a variety of reasons. I just feel like EA is not particularly great at making good games. In fact, as I film this video, let's just type in Electronic Arts. Let's see which games they're most known for, because it's probably stuff like Need for Speed. Let's look at the official Electronic Arts. Okay, what do we have here? Oh yeah, Battlefield 2042, an absolute freaking flop. Madden, which I don't care about. FIFA, which I think they're losing the rights to. Apex Legends, Sims, which has gotten to become just so entirely monetized. It's just bonkers that these are the biggest properties by EA, and even they don't seem to know how to monetize this. Now, my concern is that if anybody buys EA, I do think it's going to end up making these games worse. But specifically, if we happen to see Amazon buy it, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to remove EA Play. You may not know this, but basically there is this version of sort of like their own version of Game Pass, where on PlayStation or Xbox, you can pay like $5 a month and play a bunch of old EA games. I actually like this service a lot. I don't have it right now. I was using it in the past to play stuff like the older Star Wars and stuff, but this is kind of what comes to mind. There is old Star Wars games. There's old stuff like the old Command & Conquer games that were made by Electronic Arts. There's all these different franchises that are definitely popular enough. They're profitable IP that I think a company like Amazon or Disney definitely wants access to. They could make a Command & Conquer TV show. And it's kind of bonkers to think about, like the Star Wars Squadron game. I particularly loved that. It is on EA Play. If they get bought, EA Play is instantly going in the dumpster. EA Play is actually part of Xbox Game Pass. All of these games, I guarantee it, are going to get Thanos snapped directly off of every other service, especially if it's Amazon, because Amazon's going to put it on their crappy streaming thing called, what is it called? Amazon Luna. They have their own version of like Google Stadia, except somehow even worse. When this rumor first came out of this Amazon acquisition at 6 a.m., the immediate responses were pretty much just people saying like, what is actually going on? This is so bonkers. Like, of course, some people are just being weird console fanboys, but I think What's extra bad is the idea that Amazon does like to liquidize stuff. Because Amazon is a $1 trillion company, in the past, they have bought game studios or built up game studios to make games that seem almost like tax write-offs. Did you know that there is actually a knockoff of Overwatch that Amazon made that was called Crucible? It was a squad-based hero shooter that had objectives. It was big. It sort of had this battle royale-ish mechanic where you could actually get randomized weapons and drop on the map when you were trying to take over points. This game, okay, it sucked. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The game absolutely was a wet turd in your mouth, but this game got shut down mere weeks after release. This is a game that cost Amazon about $250 million to make, and really, as soon as they got done writing the checks, they canceled and deleted the game to make it a tax write-off. A lot of these companies will actually buy expensive stuff to reduce their overall cost. They consider it a company expenditure. And as much as we all kind of hate Electronic Arts, I'm a little bit nervous that if specifically Disney or somebody like Warner Brothers or obviously Amazon purchased them for that $40 billion price tag, I'm concerned they'd buy it and pretty much liquidate it. Either break it apart, sell the film rights, keep the stuff that they want, and then destroy the rest. As much as I hate what's happened to stuff like SimCity being murdered or Dead Space obviously getting destroyed by Electronic Arts, I'm almost more nervous about the idea of somebody coming in and trying to rip them into gooey bits and sell them up. Maybe that is for the best. I guess now sort of talking about it out loud, it would be neat if somebody like Sony bought the Dead Space rights or Microsoft managed to scoop up something like Dungeon Keeper, which actually is owned by EA. The weirdest part of EA is that they own like 500 different random series and they do nothing with any of it. EA is so focused on those big AAA expensive microtransaction filled games that anything that's not hyper profitable, they just instantly sink. Like, consider the fact that EA is in charge of BioWare. Anthem. They made Anthem. They made, obviously they're working on a new Mass Effect. They made Dragon Age. And now what are they doing? It seems like not much. EA is the absolute kings of buy it, set it, and forget it. And I'm kind of concerned that if somebody else steps in and buys them, they're going to get the EA effect done to them. Now I wanted to take a look at this chart I found because I think it's the couple different solutions that are probably going to take place. This is the 5 possible futures that are currently sort of on the books. There's EA remains independent. They just keep things as they're currently going. They stay as profitable as possible while keeping stuff like EA Play in existence. There's stuff like the other major rumor is Apple buying it. Honestly, all 3 of these rumors, Apple, Amazon, or Disney, I hate all 3 of these because these are non-gaming companies. Maybe I'm being a little bit of a toxic gatekeeper right now, but I sure like when gaming companies are being run by gamers. I like it most when people who actually know what the heck Mario is are selling games that are supposed to be big epic adventures. If Apple buys it, I do honestly think, yeah, they're going to put a lot of that stuff on Apple Arcade. I mean, this would just be weird. I do think that Apple has the money to fund these games at least, but you know they're going to put it on some weird exclusive service or make it TV shows of Mass Effect on Apple TV. Amazon, this is the weirdest. Amazon has had some success with their MMORPG called New World, but you know they're going to try and slap that onto their streaming service. Disney is the one that I thought was going to be happening the most. My personal theory was always Disney because they have been making the Lucas games. You know, obviously EA is the people that have been making, well, for better or for worse, all of the previous Star Wars games for this last decade. Because we haven't seen Disney just rip those rights back, despite the fact that a lot of those games have kind of sucked, I always kind of believed it's because at some point Disney was going to attempt to scoop them up and just make them the LucasArts printing machine. Games like Battlefield would still exist. Obviously, Mass Effect would still exist. Dragon Age would still exist. But I do think that they would sort of employ them to churn out more than just a couple tiny Star Wars projects every 3 or 4 years. Finally, give us that Boba Fett game, Star Wars 1313. The last rumor here, now I want to super zoom in on this because this is one that I don't believe, but I see it around a lot, is what would happen if PlayStation attempted to acquire them. As it currently stands, I only think that would be good because it would be a good hit back. Obviously, now that Microsoft is buying Call of Duty, with the Activision acquisition, like Microsoft has consolidated a tremendous amount of MMO power with getting Blizzard at the same time. The fact that now Microsoft owns World of Warcraft and Diablo and StarCraft and freaking Overwatch, all of that on top of everything that Activision does, that's a pretty powerful punch. Scooping up EA, I do think it would strengthen the brand of PlayStation, but I don't know if PlayStation could find a way to make that profitable. I think PlayStation is working so much on its own big adventure games and stuff like that. If they bought it, I think they would just be a parent company. I can't imagine things getting better or things getting worse if Daddy Sony swooped in, because really I think it would just be a matter of like, okay, now we signed your paychecks and we take the profit. But what do you think about all this? Personally, from what I have heard from the people I have talked to, there is a lot of discussions happening inside of EA. Electronic Arts is having long, extended sit-down talks with a bunch of different peoples. They're listening to offers. They're letting people say, hey, I want to buy you for this amount. But as it currently stands, what I've heard is that right now they've just said no thanks. As it currently exists, as hyped as EA is to be purchased, they haven't taken up any offers yet. But it does sound, in my opinion, it does sound like either Disney or Amazon is going to buy it because they have the most liquid money, and to them it's like $16. It's like buying a popsicle. But what do you think about all this? Are you excited for the future of video games, or does this constant acquisition chaos actually make you a bit nervous? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Man, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, get the hell out of here. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.